Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you had a great Sunday, and of course, look at this. I'm somewhere different again. I'm actually in East Texas, Livingston, Texas. It's 4.5 hours, about 4.5 hours east of Austin, and I'll be around Livingston and Jasper area around there for work. So I'm pretty excited to see the different cultures all around here and the different ways of perspective and thinking, and trying to understand and from observing them and also observing the different surroundings as well and the different people they interact with and the different people who live there. So for me, tomorrow's gonna be a lot of observation and just looking, seeing what I can learn. So I'm excited, even though I'm in the middle of nowhere. It's fun, it's an adventure. But what I wanted to talk to y'all today is something I learned today. I did a sense deprivation tank. So if you guys don't know what that is, essentially it's this big old round tank, looks like an egg, and inside is water filled with water with salt in it. Enough salt so you can float in it. And the water is kept at a 94-degree temperature. So whenever you're floating in there, your body is the same temperature as the water, and you're floating right above it as well. So it feels like you're in space. And for me, it was such a revolutionary and just awe-inspiring thing to do as well. So usually you do it for an hour, and I I did it for an hour, and usually a lot of people do it with music or something like that. But I decided I just want complete silence, and I'm glad I did that. I wouldn't advise people to do that on their first time if they haven't done meditation for a while. So for me, I regularly do 30 minutes of meditation every single morning. So I felt like I could take the risk of going in for an hour. And thank goodness I did, because what happens is that at for me, you're floating there, and at the very beginning, your mind is thinking, "Oh my goodness, this pointless. Is what am I doing?" But then you get in a state where you're not conscious, but you're not sleeping. It's what's called theta brain waves. So it's that point in between sleeping and consciousness that you uh you get, where it feels like you're one with everything around you, and also have utterly you have almost no control of yourself or your surroundings as well. It's just you're a bystander or observer to this to the present moment. So why I say observer is that uh, I once I got into that state, which I think I started excreting in brain waves from my brain. I don't think I could have moved. There was times within that experience that my brain said move and my body didn't, and my hands did, and my arms did. And I can definitely see how people would freak out about that. But it was a experience of just letting go. And of course, how I got out of it was, as the last 5 minutes, they played a soothing music to kind of get you out of this trance of your theta waves and get you back up. And I'll tell you, once it was like I was emerging from deep water, and I emerged up. And once I finally realized I was like conscious, I started like breathing really hard. I was like, oh my God, like, where am I? But what I found out, well, with the theta waves and this state of being in theta, I'm just going to call it being in theta, it's highly representative of meditation and meditative acts. It's the same theta brain waves that are excreted or produced in both scenarios. Now, that's what I'm thinking. And so they are produced in both scenarios, and that makes sense. And it's with it, not just meditation in general, but meditative acts as well. It's this state wherever you're not conscious of what you're doing, but you're still aware that you're doing something. So, for example, writing, right? I went, and whenever you start writing, you hit that wall, and you're trying to break through that wall. Well, once you get through that wall, a lot of authors and writers say that what comes out of them isn't them. It's some well of creativity that's pouring out of them. And that's the same as my experience in the deprivation tank. And in meditation, it's not necessarily that you're consciously doing it, but you're the observer of the action, and are conscious of what's happening, but almost you have no control over it. So, that's why I'm thinking, and what I want to write about later on, is that these meditative activities, so writing and prayer, different types of prayer, yoga nidra, meditation, and sense deprivation tanks. All of these are producing these theta waves that kind of give you this sense that it's not you that's doing it, it's the world and the life around you itself, often the outpour from within you. So I still need to work on it and do more research on it to figure out, but that's kind of my understanding, is that these meditative acts all have a connection with each other as well through this state theta wave. Now, one thing I just from my brief research into theta waves, it seemed like there was, from the article I read, trying to be a distinction between theta waves. It's giving us theta waves produced in complete focus, and theta waves whenever there's complete relaxation. And for me, I don't think there's much of a difference in there. One, theta waves are produced. So, for example, writing would be that immense and focus, concentration, and creativity, and meditation would be that letting go of and that relaxed state as well. And for me, I don't necessarily think there's much difference in them, because one, they both produce these theta waves. So oh, they're doing the exact same. The brain's doing the exact same thing in both of these acts, and like we talked about before, both of like the focus in writing and the quote unquote relaxing in meditation are brought about all in the same way, in that people say, hey, it's not them that it's them observing themselves do something. So in meditation, it's observing the thoughts and feeling emotions that are going through you and all the activities around you. In writing, it's observing all the thoughts, feelings, emotions that are being poured out into the page as well, and you having almost no control all over what's coming out. So that's what I'm thinking, is that there's more of a connection and with these meditative acts than I think the one article was trying to argue. But like I said, still need to do some research on it and look more deeply into it. There's a bunch of different topics I want to look at and look at in more depth, at like love. I'm actually listening to A Man's Search for Meaning right now, and realizing how much love has impacted Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, and memoir are by a psychiatrist named Viktor E. Frankl, who went through Auschwitz, and then his perspective on it. So, for him, and love was such an impactful. His love for his wife was such an impactful way of conquering the evils of Auschwitz, and it didn't seem like it was that the hope of seeing his wife again, or it wasn't the hope of seeing his wife again, but his immense love for his wife, and almost being able to talk. He actually said as that it feels like she was there, and that in all intents and purposes that she was there with him, and he would talk to her. So I don't know if that I destroyed the screen. I don't know if that adds something to do spiritually with his connection with his wife, or if it was his ability of self-awareness of that is what he himself needed at that moment to get through Auschwitz and the horrors of Auschwitz, is to believe that his wife was there with him, and that he was talking with her, and his love was flowing through her. Alright, so I don't know if it's either or. I'm leaning towards the latter, just because just from this conversation, I have more of a reason to, and more of a logical argument for it. But I'm open and to the suggestion of either one. So didn't know it was gonna go into love, but that was the main thing I wanted to talk about, was these meditative acts, and also love a little bit. So appreciate y'all again, and tomorrow I'll actually be home. Well, in April I'll be going into different countries for our in 2-week intervals, so it'll be different homes, but it'll be home for about 4 days the next couple days, and then off to Germany. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. I'll see y'all later.